I'm Chris Herrington, and welcome to Soundbites. I'm joined again this week by Daily Memphian Digital Director Holly Whitfield. Holly and I are going to talk about some recent Memphis food and dining news, maybe get into our own grocery shopping routines here in town. But first, you can find all of our food stories and this podcast at dailymemphian.com, where you can also sign up for our weekly Table Talk newsletter. You can catch Soundbites, the show, Thursdays, 11 a.m., left of the dial at 91.7 FM, WYXR, or subscribe to it in podcast form wherever you get your audio.
Hey, Chris. How's it going?
Pretty good. So a lot of food news popping since last we talked. Maybe we can sort of bring up what sort of caught each of our eyes lately. I was struck. So we have new coffee shop news.
Yes.
We're both coffee shop fans. We got 2 shops opening downtown. There's going to be one opening very close to our offices here, the Mid-South Coffee and Tea Company. Muggin Coffeehouse, which is in Whitehaven, is opening a second location in Uptown here downtown. And then the one that most struck my eye is another second location, Belltower, which is on the Highland Strip. It's the place on the Highland Strip that's a coffee shop / pottery studio. They're opening a second location without the pottery studio part at Shelby Farms. And I feel like I willed this into existence because I got back in town from vacation, and I went on a bike ride. I've been trying to get on the bike more, and a lot of times I'll drive out. I have at times ridden my bike from my house in Midtown all the way out to Shelby Farms. I got to get my stamina back up on that in this heat. But I've driven out, and then I've biked all around Shelby Farms and the Shelby Farms Green Line and the Wolf River Green Line. That whole area is a great sort of biking area. And I rode past the visitor center there at Shelby Farms, and I thought, why is this still empty?
Yeah, it's been a while.
When it first opened, if people remember, this was during the weird little Musk brother moment we had here in Memphis.
Oh,
yeah,
that feels like a fever dream.
Right, it really does. And so he had the restaurant where Coastal Seafood is now, but then they had this place they called the Kitchenette that was right there in the visitor center. And it was actually great. I mean, they had the coffee and they had cold drinks. They did fresh fruit slushies, and you could get, yogurt parfaits and peanut butter sandwiches and like whatever. And after that went away, someone else took it over, and they still had a little shop there, but it's been empty for years now. And you can get cold drinks and mem pops at the little gift shop. But to me, that's really missing from that. That's been really missing from that sort of setup, because there's so many people go there, and people are walking, and people are biking, and people are kayaking or whatever in the water. And like, you just need somewhere to like get some food and drink and like sit outside and take a break. And so I was very happy to see Belltower going in there.
Me too. And their Highland Street location is super popular. It's a great spot. I mean, we used to have the Cafe Eclectic right over there, and I worked there for years.
That's another space that's been empty for a while. What used to be the Cafe Eclectic on Highland.
Right. And I don't know what's going on with that. I think actually it had bad ventilation, because that was one thing about that shop that you could smell the coffee roasting. But in any case, Belltower is super popular. So I know that all those people, when they're doing like you're doing on the weekends and heading out, they'll be happy to see that familiar name. I also noticed that they're going to have some kind of mobile ordering capability. Like you can order on your phone and then go pick it up or something like that, which to me is genius for a park setting.
Yeah. And so that's supposed to be opening in September. I'm looking forward to that. I just think, and I felt this way about, we'll see what happens at Tom Lee Park, but I felt this way. This is one of my criticisms of the riverfront, the Bill Street Landing situation was, okay, you don't have a gas line for a full scale restaurant, but can we have a little coffee shop or snack bar instead of buying tchotchkes of tourist tchotchkes? Could you get a cold drink and a snack or something, right? I feel like that's a component to like public outdoor spaces that we don't do very well in Memphis, where you need that sort of element, and whether it's a built environment thing or it's just a constant food truck kind of situation. I feel like you need that. If you're going to make a place, outdoor spaces that people are going to visit in large numbers, you're going to have a lot of presence there. You need places for people to get refreshments,
I agree. And I hope that they do have that at Tom Lee Park when they reopened. They announced it. I did a story a while back about the food vendors tapped for Tomley Park, and it did include Bison Virtue is supposed to have a coffee stand and have some cocktails and stuff there too, in addition to like a Ben and Jerry's and another like savory food like meal option paper plate pavilion is what it's called. So it would be really cool if all of those things opened in September with our new outdoor space in Tomley Park and the existing beautiful outdoor space at Shelby Farms. That would be fixing the problem you just talked about.
Yeah. So, if we want to encourage people to be outdoors and be in the parks and be in the spaces, the refreshments have to be a component of that to me. It almost has to be built into the planning. It can't just be will it earn its keep financially thing. You hope it does, but even if it doesn't, it needs to be a part of it. To me, it needs to be sort of considered part of the larger thing. But Belltower at Shelby Farms, that's the thing that I noted this week that I'm happy to see. Well, anything jump out at you this week on the food front?
Well, one thing I noticed, and that I'm going to talk about, and then we'll have a story up by the time you're listening to this, hopefully, about Mama's Bar, which is downtown. It's the same people that run Slider Inn and Bar Dog, but it used to be the Dirty Crow Inn, right? And people love that place. It was just cool. I'm not going to call it a dive bar, but it was like kind of a dive. It was like
it's sort of in a little industrial area, so it's just on the other side of Crump from the heart of downtown, right?
Yes.
If you're headed south from the heart of downtown, it's just on the other side of Crump there.
Right. And if you're coming over the bridge over there, it's the first bar you get to in Memphis. Right. Or if you're leaving, it's the last bar you see. So it became Mama's pre-pandemic.
This could be the first scene of your novel, the last bar before you leave Memphis kind of thing.
Exactly. I mean, I was talking to Eric Bourgeois over at Slider Inn, and he was telling me about some of the plans that they have for the new place. They've been closed for 2 years. They closed back when the bridge was having problems and you couldn't even get to this place. So they decided to take advantage of that and renovate it. So it's going to look totally different. Like I said, hopefully we'll have a story by the time you're listening to this and you'll be able to find out exactly what it looks like. But they're going to open this weekend, and they're going to have their half-pound burgers and their big fried chicken sandwich. Those are the things that they're known for on their menu. But he says it's the only trucker-themed bar in America as far as they know, which to me seems like a very tall claim. But I dig where they're coming from. I mean, why not? It's the perfect theme to have for a bar right there. And he also said that, truckers do come there, actual truckers. It's not just the theme. So,
we are, not Memphis as much, but right across the river, West Memphis is the country's biggest truck stop, basically. And so we are America's distribution center. So we got a lot of semi traffic coming through. When I did, it's funny you bring that up in terms of the visiting truckers passing through. When we did our Summer Avenue story last summer, Jennifer and I, one of the places I wrote about was Lulu Halal, a Somali restaurant on Summer. And what they said was their customer base, apparently there are a lot of Somali truck drivers, particularly who live in Minnesota, who live in Ohio, live in other places, but because there are larger Somali populations, especially in the Twin Cities, I know. But a lot of them become truck drivers. So your old cliche of immigrants becoming cab driver kind of thing. A lot of them are truck drivers, and they have routes that take them through Memphis, and they will go on Google Maps, wherever they're traveling. Is there a Somali restaurant in this place? And that they have a lot of regular customers who are Somali truck drivers who are coming through Memphis, and they'll go out of their way to visit that restaurant.
That is so interesting. Yeah. I'm glad that that's there.
Right. We think of tourists, and we think of people who live here, but there are a lot of people just passing through, It's part of the nature of where Memphis is. So I was a fan of Dirty Crow Inn, and then when it changed, I never got around to going to Mama's. So you mentioned the half pound burgers. You mentioned the chicken sandwiches. Is it a similar kind of vibe?
I think it's going to be. I feel like the Dirty Crow Inn was, like I said, it kind of felt like a dive bar, but it was cleaner. It was they had put it together in a way that made you feel like maybe it had been there a long time, but it actually hadn't. Right. But it was fine. The vibes were very chill. And I think this is going to be a little bit more upscale. I'm guessing just based on what I know about the way that they've redone the Slider Inn downtown.
Right.
And I know that Eric told me that the chef is the chef that has been at Slider Inn downtown for a while, and now he's coming into a head chef role for Mama's. So I'll be excited to see what other menu items they have. I know Dirty Crow Inn people loved their wings. So I don't know if Mama's is going to like try to recreate that. I know that they maybe did originally when they opened, but I just think this is going to be an entirely new restaurant bar experience than it was. So like they've been closed for 2 years though. And I just think this is going to be a fresh start.
So one other piece of food news that we've had recently that caught my eye is we had a story about a restaurant that's going to open in Germantown, I think it was. Maybe it was Collierville. I think it was Germantown, called Local Lime, which is part of a restaurant group, sort of a regional restaurant group based out of Little Rock. And what caught my eye was this restaurant group. One of their places is Heights Taco and Tamales in Little Rock, which I've actually been to.
Oh.
I did not know it was connected to other restaurants as part of a group. I just thought it was a local place in Little Rock. Actually quite good for the kind of place it is. You know, it's a, you know, I thought it was Tex-Mex. Maybe that's more Tex-Mex and Local Lime's more Cali-Mex, but it's like, you know, it's an Americanized sort of, you know, tacos and tamales kind of place. You know, get your margaritas. It's not, you know, your most authentic Mexican restaurant. It's a different kind of thing, but it's quite good. And my wife and I always think of that place. And this probably will not be on the menu at Local Lime, although I'm going to make a public petition that they take this item from the other place in the restaurant group and put it in the new place because I want it in Memphis. They have a thing on the menu at the place in Little Rock, the Heights Taco and Tamales, that is it's their cheese dip, but it's their cheese dip that is, they say on the menu, it's inspired by the seven most famous cheese dips from the state of Arkansas.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know this, but Arkansas claims to be the home of Rotel dip. Rotel dip is an Arkansas specific thing. It's one of the claims to fame of the state of Arkansas that this is where we created Rotel dip. And I say, you know, we're right across the river. We're part of the region. Bring us the recipe based on the 7 most famous Arkansas cheese dips. I would like that.
I also need the list of the 7 most famous Arkansas cheese dips.
We need a card so we can go around. They have, and I've thought about going. I've never been. Maybe we should do this at some point, a road trip. They do a thing in Little Rock every year, or at least they used to pre-COVID. Hopefully they still do it. That was like, you know, we have the World Championship Barbecue Contest. They have the World Championship Cheese Dip Contest in Little Rock.
Yeah, we have to do this. This is important.
I think it's a must. We may need a sound bites on the road to go check out the cheese dip contest.
I never knew that. I've learned so many things about Arkansas and cheese today.
So that's out there in terms of local news. Holly, what's the best thing you've eaten recently since last time we spoke?
Okay, so this was so good that I got it twice in 1 week or 8 days. I just discovered this, maybe it's been there a while, but at the Global Cafe in Crosstown Concourse, they have a burrito special on Fridays and Saturdays. Only on Fridays and Saturdays, and it's just a big giant burrito, and you choose your protein. So that is that. I was there working one Saturday, and I was starving, and I decided to order this. I went and picked it up. I took it upstairs to one of the places where you can sit out and work, and I opened the container, and this burrito it's huge. It's enormous. And I hear people talk about food like this and they say something like, oh, it's so big. You can have it for like 2 meals or like 2 people can share it. And I always roll my eyes. I'm like, no, I'm hungry. Like I need the whole thing. Not so with this Global Cafe burrito. And I chose like barbacoa, and it was absolutely delicious. Just stuffed with beans and pico and cheese. And I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just a big giant burrito. But when you're starving, when you're hungry and you want to have something for like 2 meals, this is what you need to get. It was also about $15. That was partially because of my protein choice. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then I saw it and it all made sense. And I liked it so much that when I went back the following Friday or Saturday to do my little writing time there in the concourse, I got it again. Oh, and it comes with a salsa verde that's really tasty. Like I took the rest of the salsa home with me and put it on other things. So Global Cafe giant burrito, probably my favorite thing. They also are now doing brunch, and it's like a Mexican Tex-Mex brunch. I didn't try it though, so I can't say if it's good or not, but I'm sure it is based on the burrito.
So I'm a big fan of Global Cafe. I spend a lot of time. It's my second home, basically. It's Crosstown Concourse. Maybe slightly less time going forward, as my daughter, who was in high school there, is now no longer in high school there, but I still live in the neighborhood. And I still do a radio show there every week. If you're listening to this live on Thursday on the radio, you can hear me a few hours later at 4 p.m. where I spin tunes. And I live in the neighborhood and I can't work at home because my dogs don't allow that. And so I spend a lot of time at Crosstown Concourse. Love Midtown Global Cafe. So, and their menu changes from time to time, so I can't guarantee all these things are on the menu at the moment. But some of my go-tos there, the empanadas I really like, the Syrian sangria, the Sudanese fried chicken, which is a different kind of flavor profile.
I want to try that.
Yeah, it's a different. It comes with like a barbecue sauce, but it's just a different flavor profile than like a Memphis barbecue sauce. And it comes with mashed potatoes, which is also a little bit different flavor profile than we're used to. So it's something that's very familiar to us, but like just a couple notches to the left a little bit, which is interesting. So I'm a big fan of Midtown Global Cafe. So the best thing I've eaten in the last few days, outside of my own kitchen, which we'll get to that in a second, is I'm driving down Summer. As I drive down Summer all the time. And in fact, I was probably driving back from having biked at Shelby Farms, but I was driving down Summer and I noticed, this is not exactly a man bites dog story, but a new Mexican restaurant on Summer Avenue. But I thought, that's new. It's a new Mexican restaurant on Summer Avenue. Of course, I must stop soon and eat. And it's La Palapa, which is on Summer, just east of the Interstate Exchange. So out sort of near the Summer Drive-In, but on the other side of Summer.
Okay.
And I've only eaten there once so far. Maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll turn it into a New Eats or a $10 deal or something soon. But one of the things I like, and we talked about this, I feel like we talked about this last week, which I don't know any other Mexican restaurant that quite has this. They have bar seating. Oh, you sit at the counter and like your old school diner, and the waitress comes up and you're sitting at the counter and you're watching the griddles 10 feet away from you and you're watching them cook and you're sitting at the bar. So that was cool. They also have a full breakfast menu in addition to chilaquiles and breakfast burritos and all this kind of stuff. They also have like bacon and eggs and pancakes or whatever too. And so I got the chilaquiles with asada chilaquiles, steak chilaquiles, which was very good. It's one of my go-tos at La Guadalupana. Yeah. It was every bit as good at this place as it was at Guadalupana, which is a high recommendation for me. So if you're looking for some new Mexican food on Summer, that's kind of an interesting place. I may go back. Maybe I'll write about it. But that's a place I've liked.
Tell us the name again.
Because I may have butchered the pronunciation. It's look at my notes, La Palapa. So Palapa.
Love it. That sounds great.
Yes. So I love sitting at the counter. I love having that kind of diner experience, and having a diner experience with good, like authentic Mexican food was like A+ for me. But my other good eating has been at home. And so, which brings up another story that we had this week that I found was notable. And that is that the local Save-A-Lot grocery store chain has new ownership. There are 4 of them in Memphis, all in places, well, not, they're in various parts of town. So there's one in Parkway Village, there's one in Whitehaven, there's one in Raleigh, there's one in University of Memphis area, right? So these aren't all like totally underserved food areas, but they're also not the popular corridor, right?
Right.
And so we need, that's one of the issues we have in our community in terms of like access to good groceries all over the city. And so the fact that there's new ownership at these four grocery stores that is saying that they're committed to keeping the store freshly stocked as if it's opened all the time was the quote, and to have and to customize what they're stocking based upon the neighborhood and the clientele, which sounds like business 101, but not every chain does this, right?
Right.
To me, that was a promising thing. And so I don't know what there is to say about that other than like good, like more please. But it brought to me the question of like, how we shop in Memphis, how we grocery shop. This is something Jennifer has talked about and written about some. I think we haven't gotten into too deeply on the podcast. Maybe it's worth talking about. It's something I'm interested in. Like, when you like, I'm always interested in like what people are reading, what people are watching, what people, whatever. I'm kind of interested in like, where do you go shop? Like how do you, we all probably have our own routines. I cook a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're a big home cook. I also cook for 4 people, at least for 2 more weeks till my daughter goes away, and then I won't be doing that as much.
It's usually me, but so I'm not cooking a ton. But I do get in the kitchen some. I made a great pasta salad last night that I'm excited to have.
What was in it?
For lunch. Okay, so I did bow tie pasta. I did fresh cucumber from my friend Abby's garden. She gave me some cucumbers. I did cherry tomatoes. I did green onions. And Also some fresh basil, also from my friend Abby's garden. So shout out to Abby. And then I made a dressing that has red wine vinegar, olive oil, honey, garlic, all the herbs, good stuff. And I just kind of made up my own riffs from there. But it tasted pretty good already before it had even marinated overnight. So I'm excited about it. But I go to Kroger because I have to, like everybody else. I will say, even though I live in Midtown, I have not been to the Union Avenue Midtown Kroger since 2020.
That parking lot is a stressful situation.
Everything about it is stressful.
I take that Cleveland back. Kroger?
I take that back. I've been once, and it only cemented my decision to not go in there. It's too hectic. It's too crazy. I go to the Cleveland Kroger sometimes. Really, I'm one of these people. I'm putting in like a pickup order at the Poplar Highland Kroger. And I go out there and I do all my East Memphis errands about every week or every other week. And I'm millennial, so here we are. We're doing our Uber Eats and our DoorDash, and I'm really cut back on that a lot in the last year or so. And so instead of that, if I don't want to cook something fully, but I don't have a full Kroger situation going, and I don't want to order really, really expensive takeout, I will like treat myself, quote unquote, to the fresh market in Midtown where I'll go get some of their prepared foods. And I feel like that's a good middle ground between cutting up cucumbers or ordering Chinese food, where I get their pasta salad or like their pre-made, like the little salmons and chicken and all that good stuff. That's basically my grocery store story.
Okay, so I would say you don't have to go to Kroger. Not that I'm suggesting people shouldn't go to Kroger. This is not neither endorsement or whatever the opposite of that is, right? You don't have to go to Kroger. I say only because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do my primary grocery shopping at the Poplar Highland Kroger.
Right.
That was back when I was doing lots of kid drop-offs and pickups at campus school, so I was sort of in that neighborhood a lot. And I did find that the parking lot is spacious enough. It's not as stressful in and out. And when to the degree I go to Kroger, that's probably the one I go to the most. I've got a different kind of routine now. And it's kind of like, to me, it's interesting. Like Memphis is, as many people know, Memphis is the home of the modern grocery store, right? Like sort of this idea of the one stop, take your cart up and down the aisle and get everything you need.
Self-serve. Yeah.
Right. Self-serve, full service, sort of originated in Memphis with the Piggly Wiggly. Prior to that, and still, I think in a lot of super urban environments, people go to different places to get different things. Like the old traditional, you go to the butcher shop to get your meat, and you go to the bakery to get your bread, and you go to the produce market to get your produce, and you sort of cobble together things from different places. I'm somewhere in between those two things at this point. Like I find it, if I really tried hard, I could probably do all my shopping at one place, but I don't. I just can't. And so when I do like weekend shopping, and I took family meals both Saturday and Sunday this weekend. So I did the typical go load up and then plan your menu and then go load up and whatever. I almost always do 3 or 4 stops on a weekend morning.
Wow.
It sucks up a lot of time. So this week was a 3 stop because I didn't go to the farmer's market.
Got it. Okay.
A lot of times on Saturday mornings, we'll go to the farmer's market and we'll get, a few things there and then sort of branch out from there.
The downtown farmer's market?
We toggle between downtown and Cooper Young. Okay. Cooper Young is closer to us. We kind of like the downtown because we will go and we'll get a coffee at Vice and Virtue and sort of make a little thing of it or whatever. But we sort of toggle between, and usually we'll get, some produce and maybe we'll get some meat. That gets pretty pricey at the farmer's market. And some other things. I ended up not doing that this weekend, but what I did do instead, I'll do this a lot. I'll go to Target, because Target I'm loading up on the frozen pizzas the kids eat and the stuff for my son's lunches and toilet paper and paper towels, all that kind of stuff.
Snacks. Yeah.
Right. And then I went, this time I went to Whole Foods. Sometimes I'll go to Fresh Market. I'll go to those places for meat and produce. So I'm getting dairy and dry goods and cleaning supplies and that kind of stuff at Target. And then I'm going to a Whole Foods or Fresh Market just for meat and produce for the most part. And then I'll end up going, in this case, this weekend, I went to Viet Ho because when I was cooking, I needed stuff I couldn't get at Target or Whole Foods really for my cooking. So I tend to do a lot of Target for the basic, big list stuff. Whole Foods or Fresh Market for specific meat and produce stuff. And then I'll end up going to a Viet Ho or what used to be Charlie's Meat Market or Casa Perez, or I'll go to some of the specialty market kind of stuff, Penzies or whatever. I'll tend to do stuff like that, but I tend to cobble together multiple stops for my shopping. And in some ways I like it. In some ways I'm like, why am I spending this much time going to so many different places? Right.
Right. Well, also, though, you can make it like a whole day. You can get yourself some coffee. You can like stop for lunch afterwards, which is funny after you buy groceries. Like
there is that.
The last thing I want to do after I buy groceries is cook something, which is hilarious. You're like staring at all the ingredients. You're like, no, I'm going to make a pizza.
There is a little bit, maybe that's why like I incorporate Target. For some reason, I find the Target environment, this is very late capitalist of me, I find the Target environment a little bit more decompressing, whereas the Kroger environment I find stressful for whatever reason. There's something about the design and the carts and whatever.
I would have agreed with you.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic.
Right.
Pre-Target remodel.
Yeah.
But now I find Target, depending on when you go, just as stressful. Personally,
but you're thinking about like the alone time of the shopping. There is something to that, because sometimes my wife will say, "Oh, take Ben, who's our son, take him with you." I'm like, I don't want to take anyone with me. I'm going to put on my earbuds. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm getting a coffee at the little Starbucks kiosk, and like I'm zoning out. I'm getting the shopping done. I'm drinking a coffee, and I'm listening to something.
Yeah, and
like I'm driving around doing errands, and this is me time.
This is the Chris time. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There is a little bit of that, but to me, different people, like I know people, Natalie's not on the mic over here, but you're a Costco person, right? Yeah. And so, the Costco stuff, the Sam's Wholesale stuff, the Gordon stuff, which we talk a little bit off air, like the bulk purchase kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. There was a time in our lives when we were buying like a lot of diapers and stuff where we did Costco. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's too much for me. It's
way too much for me. For when I first moved to Memphis, my parents and family had always had like a Sam's Club membership because we didn't have Costco in South Mississippi. And so my mom was like, "Here's your Sam's Club membership." And I'm like, "Mom, I live in like a dorm room. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this." And so I had it for a few years, but it just became a thing where I was like storing more, or like I couldn't eat everything fast enough. But I definitely have friends now that have families, or even just one other person, and they go to Costco, they do the whole thing. They get the like $1 hot dog situation that they $1.50. Yeah, I think it did that change? Okay. Yeah. So there's like a whole like concessions culture happening at Costco, which also exists at Sam's Club. And I'm not here to do like a Sam's versus Costco. I think Costco would win, but
you can participate in the concessions without being a member.
There you go. I don't know if you heard that, but you can participate in the concessions without being a member. I actually didn't know that. But if I was doing like a party, or if I was hosting something, or if I'm going on a trip, I'm going to like find somebody with a membership and do that.
Now, what I have done some, I need to get back and try to do this more. This is inspired by Jennifer, is instead of the Fresh Market Whole Foods addendum to my main Target run is Super Low, which is right next door, right?
Yeah.
So you don't even have to get it. You can just park the car sort of in between and hit the two different spots. And so that's probably a little bit better for my pocketbook, a little bit better in terms of supporting the local. I have found I like Super Low. I prefer shopping at that Super Low than shopping at any of the Krogers. But I have found that there's some things like this weekend when I cooked, I did, like I grilled a chicken. I did a spatchcocked chicken. Mm-hmm. I could have bought a whole chicken anywhere and then like spatchcocked it myself. But at Whole Foods, you can just buy one already set up for that, There's certain, like, if we're going to cook fish or whatever, there's certain like produce, meat, fish things that I got to be bougie and go to Whole Foods or Fresh Market to get. I'm just not as comfortable getting it,
Sometimes you got to be bougie.
Yeah.
Super Low is good, though. There's a Super Low over on Quince. My brother lives over there. I have friends that live over there. It's out of the way for me. But if I lived over there, that's where I would go. I mean, I've been in there and it was nice. Like they had the produce all lined out. They had a bunch of random like baked goods and kind of deli stuff. I was really surprised. Like in between like cherry and Mendenhall, I guess.
We got to get Natalie to get on the mic, man. We got the podcast gremlin producer over here chiming in, not on a mic. People can't hear the questions she's asking. You need to be a regular fixture. Like every sports talk radio show, you hear the producer will chime in on occasion.
Yeah.
Need you with a microphone so you can chime in. You don't have to chime in, but the option needs to be there for you to chime in. This is what I'm saying. All right. You've been listening to Sound Bites. We're about out of time. Thanks to Natalie Van Gundy on the ones and twos, our producer, the podcast gremlin herself, who won't get on the microphone. For Holly Whitfield, I'm Chris Herrington. This has been Sound Bites. Talk to you next week.